www.pbmt.2021.org/admin
นี่ผมสตรีมห้องผมไปแล้วเนอะห้องเนี้ยใช้เขาอะไรวิโอใช้โปรเจกต์เมเจอร์อะไรที่มีในเครื่องแล้วก็แต่ว่าเลือกเป็นเซลล์เดอะไลท์ไอนะเนี่ยพี่เลือกตรงเนี้ยเอาอย่างเงี้ยพี่ต้องเลือกตรงนี้ทำให้แทนที่มันทำหรือว่าอะไรที่ว่าเป็นชีวิตอะไรก็ไม่ได้นี่พี่ต้องเลือกตรงนี้เนาะเนี่ยเนี่ยครับพี่เลือกตรงนี้นะพี่ปรับถ้าเดี๋ยวที่เขามีโน้ตแล้วเนาะพี่เลือกตรงนี้เป็นจากโปรเจกต์ที่เลือกเป็นเซลล์เดอะไลท์ไอนะของนี่ใช่ดีของทุกคนใช่อุ้ยไม่ได้เลยเป็นเครื่องที่มีคลื่นไหมหรือว่าพอดี
แหมอยู่มาทั่วประเทศแล้ว ยังไม่มีที่ไหนมีความสุขเท่ากับอยู่บางโพฉันชอบบางโพสาวบางโพน่ะมันโก้จริงๆอะสาวบางโพน่ะมันโก้จริงๆอะสาวบางโพน่ะมันโก้จริงๆอะสาวบางโพน่ะมันโก้จริงๆอะ
จักว่าเขาคือคนหักของเฮามาแต่โดนเธอคือจังหน้าด้าน หัวใจติดดินสวมกางเกงยีนเก่าๆใส่เสื้อตัว199กอดกระเป๋าใบเดียวติดกากราบลาแม่พ่อหลังจากเรียนจบม.ปลายลาทุ่งดอกคูณสวัยมาอาศัยชายคาป่าปูนเอาแรงเป็นทุนสู้งานเงินเดือนต่ำๆเก็บเงินเข้าเรียนภาคค่ำก่อความหวังบนทางเปื้อนฝุ่นสังคมเมืองใหญ่ขาดแคลนน้ำใจเจือจุนใช้ความอดทนเติมทุนให้ยืนสู้ไหวทุกวันอยู่เมืองสวรรค์แต่เป็นคนชั้นติดดินเป็นผู้รับใช้จนชินหูได้ยินแต่คำสั่งงานแต่ยังยิ้มได้เพราะใจเหมือนดอกหญ้าบานถึงอยู่ในที่ต่ำชันแต่ก็บานได้ทุกเวลาหัวใจติดดินสวมกางเกงยีนเก่าๆใส่เสื้อตัว199แต่ใจสาวบ่ได้ราคาหวังไว้วันหนึ่งเรียนจบชั้นที่เฝ้ารอมาจะสวมมงกุฎดอกยาถ่ายรูปปริญญาหวนมาบ้านเรา หัวใจติดดินสวมกางเกงยีนเก่าๆใส่เสื้อตัว199แต่ใจสาวบ่ได้ราคาหวังไว้วันหนึ่งเรียนจบชั้นที่เฝ้ารอมาจะสวมมงกุฎดอกยาถ่ายรูปปริญญาหวนมาบ้านเรา
เรากำลังแค่มีวัน
But again, the accident was due to a man-made error. The worst amongst them so far recorded was the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in erstwhile USSR in the Ukraine, where out of 4 reactors, one of the reactors, the 4th one, actually had a surge in power, blowing up a 1,000-ton steel top, leaving gushes in huge amounts of nuclear contaminants into the atmosphere, which also affected neighboring Belarus and now Russia. Downstream, it went down to Europe, and high levels were detected for the first time in Sweden, when they found that the atmosphere had 40 times radioactivity compared to normal. And when they looked around and found that an accident had indeed occurred in Chernobyl in USSR. This was, however, kept a secret and not divulged to the world. So a lot of people obviously got exposed in the bargain. Many isotopes were released into the environment post-Chernobyl disaster, and I-131 isotopes, I-132 and 133 were amongst the main ones, along with cesium. If you see the half-life, I-131 has 8 days, I-132 has 3 days, and 33 has only 20 hours half-life, short half-lives. While cesium-134 has 2 years, the bulk, that is cesium-137, has up to 30 years half-life. It's very long. Some of the casualties in Chernobyl were mainly in the first responders, which were the firemen. And you can see on my left is on day 17, erythema and skin burns. And on day 40, you can see necrotic ulcerative scarring burns on day +40. The total number of recorded reported Chernobyl patients were 237 with acute radiation syndrome, out of which 134 were classified from grade 1 to grade 4 of ARS, while 103 patients were not confirmed, but there were no deaths in these 103. So presumptively, it was less than 2 grade exposure. While you can see the worst, that is grade 4, there were 21 patients, out of which 20 died within 3 months, and the exposure was between 6 and 16 grays. The mildest was grade 1, 41 patients, no deaths in 3 months, and exposure was 1 to 2 grays. The Chernobyl accident shows that exposure to iodine isotopes may cause increase in the prevalence of thyroid carcinoma. From 1990 to 2000, about 1,800 thyroid cancer cases was observed in 18 million children, mainly under 18 years of age, from Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia. This slide shows you the graph that the maximum affected was in Belarus, followed by Ukraine and then Russia in children less than 18 years of age. Why children? One of the reasons is exposure to milk product, dairy produce. They have smaller thyroid glands, so larger dose for the gland, and the biology. The thyroid is still developing, cells are still multiplying, so they avidly take up iodine. The large majority of these cancers were papillary carcinomas. Compounding this problem was this cohort of children less than 18 years and young adolescents had moderate to severe iodine deficiency. So the multiplying thyroid cells picked up the I-131 very avidly. And further, iodine prophylaxis, which is given in all such accidents, was not given in these patients in Chernobyl. Followed in the next 10 to 20 years, it was active follow-up by ultrasounds and fine needle aspirations for thyroid malignancies, and parental awareness led to higher level of screening. Now, one good news is that leukemia and other solid tumors were mainly seen in the Chernobyl cleanup workers who were working in the containment facilities and not in the general population around the nuclear reactor. One more important fact which we have come to realize after years and decades of follow-up was that there's a significant psychological mental distress caused as a consequence of the accident because of various psychological effects, and mainly due to lack of reliable public information and communication from the authorities, leading to a lot of misperceptions of the risk of radiation. Now, the conclusion of the radiation disaster was that more than 50% of people who had burns actually ended up dying. And 19 of the 28 such reported cases lost their lives, mainly because of sepsis. Bone marrow transplant, however, had a very limited indication, as you will see later. So the 28 years report down the line of Chernobyl was there were 28 cases of acute radiation syndrome, 15 deaths from thyroid cancers, 1% death roll predicted overall for thyroid cancer. There was no scientific evidence of other solid tumors, loss of fertility, adverse effects in pregnancy, as I told you earlier. And this is a very important report of the United Nations Scientific Committee on Effects of the Atomic Radiation called the UNSCEAR, where they've said the most serious health effects of the accident was psychological and not physical. Now, this was followed by the Mayapuri accident in 2010 in Delhi, where a gamma irradiator was accidentally exposed in a scrap market for the lead within, exposing the cobalt sticks and leading to some morbidity and mortality. Then the latest was the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear accident in Japan in March 2011, following the tsunami and the earthquake in Fukushima. Nearly 20,000 workers were
Good afternoon. I am going to present how we have been getting recruited. We strengthened remote coordination, which were consisted of. Good afternoon. I am going to present how we have been getting over the difficulties under COVID-19 pandemic, especially from the view of keeping donors' safety. This slide shows the data source of this presentation. After the last working group report, Japan has suffered from three waves of pandemic. Vaccination was initiated April of this year. This figure shows the status of allogeneic HSCT with the types during January 2020 and August 2021. JMDP donors, cord blood stem cell transplant, haploidentical related donors, and HLA genetically matched sibling donors. About any adverse events related to COVID-19. One JMDP donor showed positive reaction of COVID-19, PCR positive after the administration of GCSF for mobilization. The donor stayed normal without any severe adverse event, even after the administration of GCSF. The mobilized PBSC was not used, and this was reported at the last meeting in 2020. After this case, we have experienced few adverse events at JMDP.
Hello, I'm Junho Moon from Gyeongbuk National University Hospital, Daegu, Korea. I'm the Chief of Transplantation Registry in Korean Society of Bone Marrow Transplantation. I present here the report from South Korea. This slide shows the distribution of transplantation centers in Korea. 52 transplantation centers are actively working in Korea. Many centers are located in Seoul Province. 13 centers are located in southeast of Korea and 5 centers in the southwest of Korea. I will show you several statistics of transplantation in Korea. The total number of transplantation cases reached around 40,000 cases at the end of 2020. Recently, transplantation with haploidentical donors are rapidly increasing. This slide shows the activity of transplantation in Korea every year. Approximately more than 2,500 cases of transplantation are undertaken annually in Korea. More than 2,900 cases of HCT was performed in 2020. The impact of COVID-19 to HCT activity in Korea is negligible. So far, peripheral blood was the most common stem cell source.
ฟูดคอนเนคชั่นถ่ายให้พี่เต้ดูค่ะก็บอกไปแล้วมันฟูดคอนเนคชั่นเราต้องแก้อะไรให้เราแก้อะไรแก้ก็ได้มันไม่ใช่ที่เราแลสติ้งปกติ
First, I would like to thank the organizing committee of the conference for inviting me to speak. My topic today is